David, thank you for coming to the sunny side of the Carolinas. Actually, you probably got the hotter side of the Carolinas, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, right now I think we're about the same, but I am actually from this area.
But our roads are better.
Your roads are better. I will give you that. Less potholes. There's an obvious mark when you cross into North Carolina.
There is. So thank you so much for taking the ride over here. So we're here obviously to talk a little bit about Lansweeper, talk a little bit about your history, how'd you get into this. Now, we ran a bunch of errands and set up this whole podcast studio today. It was, not stressful in the slightest. It's probably why I have less hair than I should.
A little bit of free labor.
Little bit of free labor. Hey, the office looks great. I will say the office looks great. But you mentioned in the car when we were cruising around that how you got in here, and I want to talk. I think it's a cool story of how you got into tech, because I didn't want you to go too deep, because I wanted to make sure I had content for this. But I think it also shows how people can either end up in different places, and then also you've been able to see. You have a very unique perspective, because you travel all over the place. You're going next week to Orlando, and probably by the time this is released, you might even be there already. But you have a very unique perspective, where I have a lot of newer MSPs all the way up to the several million, but I don't always get to see them out in person. You, on the other hand, get to you get to see them, touch them, shake their hands, all that, the important things. So I want to talk a little bit about your past, on how you got to where you are, and also I have a bunch of questions that is going to help the audience tremendously. And there's also going to be a podcast version of this as well. That'll be that'll be well over an hour, I think, where we'll be hanging out a little bit looser than a YouTube video. So tell me about your history, because it's quite interesting.
Yeah, so to get where I am today with Lansweeper, I've had a fairly unique journey. I started as a golf professional, and I was a PGA professional running golf courses, giving lessons. Super fun life, and I had a blast doing it.
Sure.
But some of the problem was I was working the times when you were off of work. Those were my busy days, and I wasn't able to spend as much time with my family. So I got out of that business and got into sales side of golf.
Sure.
Helping a buddy of mine. He had a startup business. It was an after-school program, giving lessons to kids, getting them involved in the game, taking it to them at the school versus bringing them to the course where not everybody could go.
Sure.
So I fell in love with the sales process, and I've always loved tech.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I remember getting our first computer, and just the involvement of technology overall has always just interested me.
Sure.
And so I was looking at jobs, figuring out what I wanted to do. And I had some friends and family who worked at Cenex, now TD Cenex.
Sure.
And I wanted to work there, did not have the experience. So I found an outdoor sales job with Toshiba, and was beating down doors, the most unsexy thing ever, beating down doors, selling copiers. I was that guy.
You got to start somewhere, man.
Wool suit, tie and all, 105 degrees, South Carolina heat, banging on doors, just selling copiers. Did really well, had a blast, had some incredible people that I met. A good mentor of mine, Dwayne McNeely, he was with Toshiba at the time, incredible guy. And but I went through that process, and then was able to apply to Cenex with the background and join them.
Cool.
And that's really where everything kind of started in the tech world, the MSP space, resellers, things like that. I started with Red Hat and just kind of worked my way through.
When did you find out about MSPs?
Yes, so I was in the cloud organization on distribution. For those of you who are not familiar with Cenex, or TD Cenex now, their distribution, and I was in the cloud organization. So I was focused, like I mentioned in the beginning, on Red Hat, enterprise Linux operating system, and containers, things like that.
Sure.
So I got very involved with cloud, whether it be Azure, AWS, GCP, things like that. And that kind of got me to where I was working with CSPs.
Okay.
And then that evolved to where I got more focused, instead of being on one product line, with solution selling. And we created this field team in the cloud organization. It was not focused on one particular product line, but everything, so we could bring all the pieces together. And that's really when it hit that a lot of the folks I were talking to were managed service providers.
Okay.
And I just kind of fell in love with that world, just how they operated. Most of them were small businesses, right? It was husband's doing the work, son sometimes helps on the weekends, wife is doing the books. And I felt like I was making a bigger impact.
Sure.
But the business model was incredible, and it was intriguing, so I kind of stuck with that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. It is definitely a lot of mom and pop. I think it's probably one of my in like a weird way, one of my favorite things to see is like you have, typically it's the husband that either wanted to create this thing, and then it's the wife that pitched in to help wherever she could help, and then it's, hey, we had a kid, and that kid is naturally around technology, right? And I remember when the Dell XPS series came out, and I was like, that is the computer. Like, I never ended up getting one, but my friend's father actually ended up getting one, and I was like, he would click on something and it would open immediately, and I was like, what else is this capable of, right? And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And there was some RGB lights on it. It wasn't like super crazy, but there was some RGB lights. And that was like, I feel like the first time a computer had like RGB in it. And I remember bricking computers and downloading LimeWire and all the things. And that was the catalyst to the love of, and then I was like, I could sit on this thing forever. Like, it's the best. And now I have two 49-inch monitors, one here, one at home. And, now I live on computers all day, every day still.
You and me both. Man, LimeWire, that brings back some memories.
Dude, it's the best.
Somebody picked up the phone, your song stopped downloading.
Dude, I remember begging my parents for them to get an extra dial-up line, so then you can have your computer run and you can be on the phone. And then my parents would be like, all right, we're done with the phone for a little while. Hey, I want to make a call. And you'd have to sign off. And then, you always, this is such a throwback, but like, you'd always want to keep AIM open because you had AIM and you had your friends and you wanted to chat with them. And I'll never forget the times where it was like I didn't want to miss a message, right? FOMO was real. Now I don't care if I miss anything, but like FOMO was so real back in the day, and I was like, I can't miss out on a message. What if it's from my crush, or what if it's an invite to go out somewhere, whatever it was, right? And then you'd always have your AIM messages of when you were away.
I remember those good days,
dude. The good old days.
We actually did have the second phone line because of that reason.
Never couldn't squeeze my parents though, and I don't think I did. At least
I think it was like $5 extra back then. We're starting to date ourselves.
We are dating ourselves. Hey, and look at that! Now we have the AT&T fiber in the building. So, and so I'd be curious to know what got you into LimeWire into Lansweeper. It starts with an L. It's close enough.
Yeah. So, really, my leadership. So Christina Klein, who I report to at Lansweeper, she's been there for several years. She and I met at my time at TD Synex when I was managing the MSP sales organization. I met with her, just Lansweepers on their line card.
Sure.
So I knew them, got to know the product, got to know her really well.
Cool.
And we became friends, or at least I say we're friends, Christina.
You hear that?
We'll have to ask her what she says. But no, I met her, and she's an incredible leader, tremendously smart.
Yeah, seems like it.
And this opportunity just came about, and I'd worked with her team for years.
Okay.
And just ended up here at Lansweeper, and very happy. Nice. She's great to work for.
She seems like a peach. I had truly a fantastic conversation, and it's cool because I've been doing podcasts for a while, and I'm actually very excited. This kind of forced me into getting all the equipment and getting back into it, and it's a lot of fun, and I try to do a good amount of research on her and all that, and just ask really good questions for her. And truth be told, I don't think I stumped her. I think it's impossible to stump people, but it definitely, and I value this tremendously. I've been a guest on plenty of shows, and when you ask really great questions, it makes it way more fun for the guest, in my opinion.
It does. Makes them think.
So now that you ended up at Lansweeper and you go to all these shows, how much traveling do you do on a regular basis?
Yeah, so even prior to Lansweeper, I was a road warrior.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm actually traveling less now.
Wow.
Which is...
You got to bump them up, guys. You got to get them.
Which has been fairly nice. But, I enjoy being in the field and being face-to-face.
Cool.
One, from just a sales perspective, building a true relationship, not being behind a computer screen every day when you're having conversations. Certainly helps things. You get to learn more about a person. Figure out their backgrounds, and truly just grow the personal relationship with them and strike a friendship. And then listening to the stories and hearing MSPs talk at some of these shows, and you get to hear what they live and breathe every day.
Sure.
And look at it through their lens. I'm not a managed service provider, but I assist them. So hearing their stories, how I can help them,
sure,
which is what I love to do, help MSPs scale and grow their business. It's very helpful, and it's rewarding.
What are some of the stories that you hear? And then also, I'd be curious to know, like, what are the stories that you hear where Lansweeper kind of fills that need or that void that they're currently experiencing?
So in my experience, and this may not be true for everyone, but in my experience in the roles that I've been in, a lot of managed service providers are unsure of how to grow and scale their business without necessarily hiring someone. They may not
Sure.
have the capital to hire a technical engineer or hire a sales team while they're out,
Yep. Yep.
banging on doors and trying to drum up business. So scaling their business for an MSP sometimes requires them to step out of the box. They're
Yeah.
very familiar
Yep.
with this one thing, this product, that's what they've done. But what they're starting to recognize is others are starting to provide more and
Yep.
they're coming after their end users. So
Yep.
they understand, hey, I need to grow. I need to, you know, expand my portfolio of products that I'm providing.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so I've always tried to help them with that.
Sure.
A lot of the struggle is really, how do I do this? It's just the unfamiliarity with it. And with Lansweeper, with how the platform runs and what it finds. So Lansweeper historically for 20 years, right, has been a asset discovery and management tool.
Yep.
It finds the assets.
It's truly
inventories
incredible.
it.
If you haven't seen it, by the way, and I'm not saying this because I do have a sponsorship from them, partially why Steven's here, but even before that, because we met a couple months ago, it's a sick program. And I was just, it ended up working out naturally extremely well. But it is truly like, and then I got the full demo. Like you explained it very, very well. And I got the full demo and I was mind blown at how thorough it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people look at and they're like, oh, that's fairly simple. It's going to scan my network. It's going to tell me what's there, what has an IP address,
Yep.
things like that. And there's other tools out there that do that. What makes Lansweeper unique is the amount of data that it provides, as well as
100%.
what it finds. It scans more than your average asset inventory tool
Yep.
and device management. It really uncovers your blind spots, and it'll also scan operational technology, IoT devices, things like that. So it helps from a cybersecurity perspective there, so you can lock down their environment. But the data it provides behind each device is where the money is.
Sure.
We charge 25 cents per asset that
Yep.
you find, which
Yep.
is insanely cheap. And for a quarter, you
Hey.
get
It's less than postage.
less than postage. There we go. But for all for a quarter on the back end, let's say you mentioned Dell, so I'll use this as an example.
Sure.
Let's say it's a Dell Optiplex server. When you select that asset and go in and see all the data behind it, you're going to find the SKU number, the serial number. You're going to find the IP address of this machine. You'll find the end of life, when is end of support of that asset. It will also tell you what software is running on that server. So for instance, it could say Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7. Well, that's end of life, end of support. That needs to be updated.
Yep.
It will give you the warranty information on there as well. Who last logged into this machine? So all this data is under this asset, and you can take that data and use it to expand your business. You may not be selling the software that's running on that server, but now you know what it is. You can help them and do it, research it, and then sell that software. You can find devices that need to be updated or upgraded.
That was going to be the next thing. Exactly.
Cyber insurance and compliancy.
Dude, it was just that thing in Canada. They didn't deploy them. They didn't deploy multi-factor authentication, and they bought an insurance policy. Insurance was like, no, we're not going to pay out because you didn't put MFA on everything.
Exactly. So now, say it finds a firewall it's
out of
null
date.
and void,
Yep,
out of date. Well, that's out of compliancy at that point. So it will give you all this information, but on top of all of that, it also gives you the common vulnerabilities and exposures for each device or the software.
Crazy.
So not only is it helping you with your current clients, but you take that in for a prospective client. And you say, hey, here's all the common vulnerabilities and exposures on all your devices. You use Lansweeper to discover this as a discovery tool in the onboarding process. Why is your current provider not remediating this? Why are they not taking care of this?
100%.
It now becomes a sales tool. And then from the simplistic side, I'm not technical in any way, but had I had something like Lansweeper where I can see the serial number and SKU number, I can now just reach directly out to Dell or Lenovo or HP and say, hey, I need the new model of this device. And I have that information in a couple of seconds versus trying to dig through a PO from last year.
1,000%.
Figuring all that out. I can't tell you how many times when I was at Cinex, we're searching for a couple hours with the reseller trying to figure out what it was that they bought, because they have so many POs come through, so many
Yeah.
different orders, and you're just trying to track down the right one. Had they just given me that, I can give it to the manufacturer, get the new network,
100%.
and I'm good to go. So
I
it
think the
worked.
other thing too is like even with that discoverability, right? Why is there no AV on certain computers, right? Where are these computers? Like you know, it's especially in an MSP. I think it's probably worse in an MSP. But how many random devices come through the door, right? And I guess that's part of what, as an MSP, what we do is we play with technology and learn different technologies and things like that, which is great. But you'd be insane, in my opinion, to believe that those people exist. There don't exist outside of an MSP. There's plenty of people that are like, I could get paid on, my corporate 9 to 5 and play and fiddle around with Raspberry Pis or whatever it is that you want to go build, make. And then on top of it too, it's like, hey, how many devices do you actually have? Right. I'll never forget. I've been in too many server rooms where it's like, okay, you have the rack, you have a couple switches, you have, a couple servers, right? And everything, sometimes they know what's running and what's not running. And then you have this like line of computers, and you're like, what are all those for? Like, why are they all plugged in? And like, usually it's not. Sometimes they know what it is. Hey, this is, we have those plugged in so that way our, MSP can, deploy updates or anything like that on the fly, and we can swap it out if we ever need to, which is fine. I think that that's a perfectly acceptable thing. But I know that computer has Windows 7 on it, and we're so far away from Windows 7 nowadays, right? Like that, this shouldn't even be a conversation, right? Although it is funny because I've had conversations with people, and they're like, "Well, if your computer's just too old, hackers aren't even interested in hacking it. Then you can,
Depends on what you have.
it depends on what you have on." But it is, it's truly crazy, and then I could just imagine how many random like ghost computers are probably in people's offices, right? And like, is it the end of the world? It's not until it is, right? And it's not a problem until it becomes a problem. And then when it becomes a problem, it's usually a pretty not great problem to have.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest threats right now, and one of the biggest things I hear, I've asked people, what do you need help with?
Mm.
What are some of the challenges you're facing? And the number one thing I hear is shadow IT and rogue devices. So just what you were talking about, right? Somebody comes in, they hook up to your Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
They come into your place of work. It's a visitor. They connect to the Wi-Fi. They connect to the network. You don't know what they're downloading. You don't know what they're using.
100%.
Anything that they're doing. So understanding that.
Why do you think
devices,
I didn't give you my Wi-Fi?
Oh, exactly. Smart man. But being able to discover those devices is a tremendous help in understanding that they're there. There are a lot of blind spots in organizations within their IT and not knowing what's out there. Prime example, I won't name any names or company names, but there was a hack a while back where it was an HVAC unit, I believe, that had a IoT sensor on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that IoT sensor had a public IP address, and it was not under the security
Just
umbrella.
cooking everyone in the building.
So somebody found it and ripped all the credit card information.
Oh, damn. All right. So they really found it back.
Yeah, that's a real thing. With Lansweeper, that IoT device pinging the network, it would have found it. You could have locked it down with your security.
At least you're aware of it. What you do with it is up to you, but at least you could be aware of the problem or a potential problem.
And think of something, it sounds simple, but it's actually really complex, like a waste treatment plant. With all the IoT sensors and the devices that are throughout there, monitoring things and
imagine. Yeah.
Being able to know those are there, lock them down with your security platform, and also understand what their function is a tremendous help for these guys.
Temperature sensors, pressure sensors.
It eliminates having to walk around with a spreadsheet, writing down where it is, this, that, the other, whose it is.
Yep.
This automatically discovers it, and it's within a matter of minutes or hours, depending on the size of the organization.
Sure.
And another thing that came to mind, you mentioned walking into a server room, racks and stacks, not knowing what computer's doing what. The beauty of Lansweeper is the data that I mentioned. Those servers, it's going to tell you the CPU usage, the RAM, the things like that. So maybe they have 10 servers and they only need 3. You can consolidate. You can, one, save them power bill there.
Sure.
Don't have to run as many fans in the closet to keep it cool. But also, your services can go up by providing that service and doing the consulting and things like that.
Sure.
But you're also making them more efficient and saving them money at the same time.
I can confidently say servers nobody take this to heart, but servers are way overbuilt for what they need to be. I have been in. I remember one very specific room. It was like a 10 by 10 room, maybe even a little bit smaller, and they had probably 9 or 10 servers in there, and the room was scorching. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you went in there, I'm like, you guys have to have problems.
it's like
I've
a
never
sauna.
been in, yeah, I've never been in a room so cold. I mean, so hot in my life, as far as like with technology in it. And he's like, sometimes we have some problems. And then like, there's one of those like portable air conditioners in there that like the home units that just they freestand, and the exhaust is like up into the drop ceiling, and like it's like the little train that could just trying to keep it like from like catching on fire immediately.
I've heard the horror stories.
um I wonder if somebody has bought something from an MSP. And there's good and bad MSPs out there, and hopefully everyone watching this is a good MSP, but I'm sure that there's an MSP out there, or maybe not even an MSP, maybe just a reseller out there that said, hey, you're going to get this many servers. And then, oh, those servers are combined into one machine, right? And then you run a scan, you're like, why do you only have 4 servers when you said you had 8? And I'm sure somebody's been caught with their pants down, and not in the good way.
Yeah, things like that happen all the time. I mean, it is what it is. If you go into an end user's environment and you ask them how many devices are here, they're not going to know the answer to that question 9 times out of 10, in my opinion. If you ask me how many connected devices are in my house, I couldn't tell you.
Sure.
At least I couldn't tell you before I started Lansweeper. I did to learn the product,
Yep.
download the
Yep.
free trial and threw it on my home network and figured out where all my Google Home stuff was and what I need to do.
Sure.
But most end users are not going to understand that. So having the power of Lansweeper and it being so easy to deploy, implementation is almost
Minutes.
instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it takes no time. It's very user friendly. And finding all of those blind spots and finding all of those devices. One scary story that I had, this was years ago. Somebody did a scan of an environment and they had an IT, we'll call it an IT guy on staff that was doing their IT, and he had a machine older than me in the corner by his desk. He had open source software running on
the
it,
open source is the worst stuff.
and it was plugged directly into their network. And nobody knew this existed. The MSP didn't know it existed, and they asked him, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, in my free time, I just code around and play on it." And everybody was like, "Unplug that, take it out, burn it." It was
Or put it at
unreal.
home. Shouldn't be here.
And his response was, "Oh, I had a firewall, and the firewall, like the case was coming off of it." I think.
Yeah.
But
It's
there's all those horror stories, and I'm sure everybody listening here has one of their own, right? But being able to understand where those devices are and then lock them down, keep it secure, or say, hey, these shouldn't be on the network, get alerts that it's on the network,
Sure.
whatever it may be. Those things are, I mean, that's extremely valuable because your end users trusting you to take care of the environment. You need to know what's there.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think too, it's the game of telephone, right? I think when, guest or non-guest network, which is even worse with the non-guest network, but, hey, what's the password, right? And I won't mention the name of my Wi-Fi publicly on YouTube. Actually, you know what? I can. It's kind of funny. But it hurts when I and then P, right? Yeah, I gotta have a little fun, right? And it was funny because the guy from AT&T was cracking up. He said, "What do you want your password to be?" And I will leave it as "see a doctor." It's a technical thing, and he was like it, and the joy that it brought to his face when I said that was like, I love that you understand technology. He's like, because, most of the time he's going around and he rarely sees the elaborate setup. Or if he does see the elaborate setup, it's going into somebody's, doctor's office or whatever it is. And he's not really setting up the Wi-Fi, or it's whatever, static thing or, unit, whatever. So, and I had to have a little fun with it. And he's like, I love hanging out with like the tech guys. Like they have like a sense of humor, right? And and then IP, Internet Protocol, right? For those of you, but it was a comical thing when he was like, "That is so clever. I haven't heard." He's heard a bunch of them, but he's like, "I haven't heard that one before." And I don't think it was even original to me. I don't want to take full credit for it, although the password was.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one yet.
I got a couple in the back.
The funniest one I ever saw was just my college buddy. His was FBI surveillance fan.
He said that one. But and then like you let out the password, and then everyone just hey, they mentioned, oh, I'm gonna bring my home computer into the office, whatever it is, and you don't know what they're doing with their home computer. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but people make mistakes. They click on the wrong thing. They open up there's a reason we have phishing simulators out there. It's not because everyone's just so good at figuring out where emails come from, right? And it's the exact same thing with this. And I can, it's just sitting here thinking about, right? I'm a two-person office. I have me and my buddy who in the real estate office, but I have obviously more of the toys. But I mean, the amount of I don't even have that many smart devices in here. I have a camera. I have the lights are smart devices, or half the lights are smart devices. I'm almost curious to know what else I've accidentally connected or intentionally connected to the internet.
And you always find something new.
Always.
And for the parents out there, here's a fun one. We were talking about that, the internet and giving out your Wi-Fi password. A gentleman, I'm not going to name any names, but gentleman has a daughter, and daughter has a boyfriend. He deployed Lansweeper in his home and set an alert for when somebody got on the Wi-Fi. Because What do kids do the first time they come to the house? Hey, what's your Wi-Fi?
Yep.
They connect their phone. He was suspicious that said boyfriend was sneaking in the house after everybody went to sleep and then leaving beforehand. So he got an alert that so-and-so's iPhone is on his network. So parents, you can download the home version and lock the house down.
Catch your kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, children. But but that scenario, right? You think of it in an IT environment. You're going to start to find those devices that are connecting. Remote workers going in, pinging into your network from grandma's computer.
Yep.
There's all types of things.
It truly is. It's I think the scariest thing in my opinion is like the back doors, right? So you have that HVAC unit with an IoT device. There's refrigerators that have webcams in them that you can literally just punch in and you're like, what's in the fridge? And which is fine. But now I can guarantee you that those refrigerators are going to end up in an office environment, right? And somebody's going to be like, well, I don't want it to lose connection or be on the guest network, so they put it on the admin network, right? Or they, the smart microwaves, the smart ovens, like you can there's one, I don't own any of these things because I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, and I'd prefer the dumb devices to remain to be dumb devices. But like, you can pre-time your microwave. So if you were like, hey, I'm going to put my frozen meat in there, I'm going to run to the store, and then I want it to be thawed when I get back, you can run a thawing cycle 15 minutes before you get home. You can preheat your oven, which is great. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, then hey, more power to you. But like, you have coffee machines that connect.
That may be the only one I disagree with you on is the coffee machine. Because that's pretty nice if you can wake up, open your phone, and brew. They'd be ready.
Dude, my favorite thing, I wake up, my dogs sleep in bed with me, and I just love waking up. And then I have a slow morning every morning. I like to just ease into my day, and before the absolute chaos starts of setting up a podcast studio and mounting walls. But cool. So what in the MSP space, where are for the MSPs that are running scans on it? What are the things because I know there's a lot of features of Lansweeper. What are the things that they're seeing, and how are they addressing not just the random device getting on the internet, but looking at, I know that you guys do up to a degree like a network diagram and that kind of thing. Where do you see the other features and benefits of Lansweeper?
Yeah, so, all the data I mentioned is the number one feature. And some of that data ties in, let's say you have a Cisco switch or a switch of some type deployed in the environment, which all of them do. You can actually trace what is plugged into each individual port. It will tell you the device. So you mentioned mapping it out. We have the full topography of the landscape. This is all automated, by the way. But it maps out the entire environment. So you can see the assets, what's there. Let's say you click on that switch, it dives in, tells you everything about the switch, and then you can basically follow the breadcrumbs to each device and figure out what's plugged into each port, whose it is, why it's there, and fully understand what's going on in the network. So again,
saves a ton of time and not being in Visio.
Saves a tremendous amount of time. But when I'm talking to someone technical, that's their favorite feature is seeing that map and understanding what's there. Being able to just dive through the entire network and right from that spot select it. You can also export that into a file, print it out, and now it becomes a sales tool of, hey, these 3 devices circled in red are critical. These here, you can now do a 30, 60, 90, 180-day plan using that.
Are you seeing a lot of MSPs use Lansweeper? So one of the things that I get a lot of pushback on from the growth generator side with like, none of these companies are taking me up on my security assessment or my pen test or whatever it is, right? Domain scan. There's a million things that people are offering. And my philosophy is it's very hard to get somebody to say, hey, here's the keys to the castle. Come on in, right? Are you seeing, and I see, and I definitely agree with them. And I also, as a person, would not want somebody to just have the keys to the castle to say, come on in. So where are you seeing people or MSP specifically deploy that functionality of it? Is it after the discovery call? Is it pre-proposal? Is it immediately after they sign the proposal and get in and, hey, we thought it was bad, it's actually this bad? like where do they fall in that? Because I always found it interesting when, I won't name any of my competitors, but some of my competitors like, you need to offer a security assessment or like a pen test, and I'm like, I don't know if I would even want a customer that would be willing to just say, yeah, come in and here's the admin password to my server or whatever it is. Take a look, right? Like, if they're willing to do that for me, are they going to do that for the next person that tries to replace me?
Yeah, so honestly, that's a loaded question. A lot of MSPs work in different verticals.
Sure.
So obviously, you're going to walk into, say, a hospital, and there's HIPAA,
Yep.
things that you have to consider there, restrictions and stuff. They're not going to be like, sure, go run this, find everything, that's out there. Let me know what it is.
Sniff around, will you?
But, Johnny's Pizza Shack may be willing to do that. So it varies by place. Now, if you're the current MSP and you're going to deploy Lansweeper and take it on and put it in your customers' environments, you've already gained that trust.
Sure.
So that's typically a very easy conversation. Where you're going and looking to onboard a customer, one of the biggest things that gets asked to allow them to open that door is, do you know everything that's here? And typically you ask a CEO that question, are you 100% certain you know every device that's here? And
I'm the CEO of my own business, and I'm still not 100% sure about everything.
And the beauty of Lansweeper is
we're a small business.
Yeah, Lansweeper gives you the data that I mentioned, but it doesn't dive deep enough to give you access to a device,
Gotcha.
Things like that. It's not going to reveal too much that should stay top secret, right?
Sure.
So it's not very invasive.
Mm-hmm.
It's very quick. You can cut it on, find everything, and then cut it off and say, hey, charge a consulting fee for that, right? You scan those assets, again, $0.25 a piece, charge them 50 cents per
postage,
asset, right? Double your money, say, hey, here's my discovery and consulting fee.
Sure.
This is what I'm going to do. This is how I do it to find everything that's in your network. I use this software, and I'll show you everything that's there, and then we'll cut the software off, and that's it. All it's going to do is just tell me what's there. So it's a pretty simple conversation. You just have to understand that Lansweeper is not extremely invasive, but the beauty of it is going to find those IoT devices. It is going to find OT. So if it's manufacturing or medical, right, it's going to find Siemens, Rockwell, stuff like that.
Sure.
That a lot of other tools are not going to discover or not going to give you data on. So it becomes a fairly simple conversation when you explain what it's doing and how it operates, and that we can cut it right back off. We just want to deploy it, see what's here, find it out. It saves time. I can see what's in your environment in an hour or two versus walking around mapping this, taking time out of your day,
sure,
time out of your IT manager's day that's over here, getting paper jams.
Yep.
Undone. Whatever they may be doing.
The critical mission critical stuff.
Always love when I hear a ticket gets put in for a paper jam, but it's PTSD from my time at Toshiba.
Dude, printers are. I have a dark secret or a dark belief that printer companies actually run Microsoft and all of that and actually pay. They're the puppeteers of all of these companies because they just consistently. I've never met a single company that's like, my printer works. It never breaks. Actually, one of my old customers, pre-growth generators, it's a Minuteman press, and I love them to death. And I've been there, and they've had paper jams. I'm like, we have gone to the moon. Arguably, some people believe it, some people don't. Whatever, I don't care about that. We've gone to the moon. We've gone to the deepest depths of the planet. We've built incredible structures. You're telling me we can't make a printing machine not break? It's not literally break itself. It's not even like human error broke it. It just they consistently break themselves. I don't know. I just have a firm belief
That would ruin the whole managed print services industry.
Oh, it would absolutely. Maybe they're the ones funding a lot of this. I don't know.
It's quite possible. I mean, that's a very lucrative business doing the managed print services. You know, you put all those things under contract, charge them 8 cents a copy, and
Yep.
just do the.
It is a fun thought because I've just never in my time in the MSP, even my time working with MSPs, I've never heard of somebody personal, residential, commercial ever say, "Yeah, my printer just works all the time." Not a single time in my life has that happened.
I think I'm with you, and I used to be in that industry. I think you're onto something there. But fun fact: when you do scan, you do find all of those printers. It will tell you the ink and toner levels, how many copies.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
So you can keep up with it. You can actually start a managed print services business from that. But you can actually keep up with it and go, hey man, this thing has 20,000 copies on it. It was built for like 5. We need to take that out, put a new one in.
Sure.
You don't need color anymore. This is a color printer. You're spending X amount of dollars on this, right? You can now open up some other doors and avenues for stuff and charge, obviously, you know, bundle that into your services, charge for that.
Sure.
But that just came to mind there. Every time I talk with somebody, it's a different conversation and something else comes to mind. Just
sure.
The wide array of things that Lansweeper discovers and then gives you about each device.
Gotcha. Now, my next question is, as we top this thing off, or at least the video portion before we go to the podcast portion, is integrations. I know somebody out there is like, just tell me the integrations and what does this work with? And I know you know this, so I don't need to, we don't need to phone in an expert here.
Yeah, this is probably one of the top 5 questions I get when I'm having calls and doing demos. We do have some integrations built. You can go to lansweeper.com and they're there. You can just Google search Lansweeper integrations and it'll pull them up. Some of the couple of larger ones we have right now are Atlassian and Jira, things like that, and Halo PSA.
Gotcha.
We will be announcing one here in the coming months.
You don't have to announce it now.
I won't. I don't want to steal the thunder, but it's a large one that everybody will appreciate.
Gotcha.
But the other thing is, outside of those pre-built integrations that we already have with some of these companies, we do have open APIs. So you can build the API bridge, and our team will help you. We have some wonderful engineers, some guys that are there to help, and they will pick up the phone and
that's cool.
Get on with you.
That's a rare thing.
It's
a rare thing.
Rare thing.
I can confidently say, and shout out to my friends over at Level, you and Level.io are the only ones that I've heard to do this, actually.
Love those guys at Level. I worked with them a while back.
Yep, big fan of them. Jacob, appreciate you, but it's it's kind of crazy because like they're known for scripting, and their engineers will help you write scripts if you don't know how to script or anything like that, or if you can kind of stumble your way through it, they're willing to guide you. They're even willing to build some of it. So the fact that your engineers are like that is sorry engineers if you're watching this video. We probably just assigned you some work and some tickets, but that is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it's very nice, and outside of that, they'll help with the onboarding, deploying, help set up reports that are meaningful.
The onboarding seems so easy.
It's super simple, but obviously there's different business needs for every vertical and market, and what you want reports on, what you want to see in your mailbox every Monday or every morning at 8 a.m. So they'll help you build out those custom reports, set up your dashboard appropriately that is meaningful to you. It's impactful to your business. So everybody wants to see something different. For instance, a lot of guys this past 18 months, I want to see front and center how many devices I have across all my customers that are Windows 10. Because I know I have to upgrade those. So that's actually a pre-built feature that we put in there for everybody because it was requested so highly. But they'll help you navigate that, set it up to where it fits your business needs. So I can't say enough about our technical team. Those guys are incredible.
Yeah, seems like it. Even the demo I got from, and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Jorge or Thomas?
I think it was Thomas. Yeah, Thomas.
Thomas is incredible.
Just like top notch. And it was cool too because I'm not the most technical, and this is nothing hidden. I'm not the most technical, and I think he appreciated that he got to have a little more fun on the call instead of being like, time to go down the technical route, right? And like we've all been there, right? It's just like it's funny because like I think it was yesterday. One of my buddies came in. He's like, "Hey, I want to learn marketing." Like, and I was like, "All right, I can teach you like some good things about marketing." And I literally went into like Thomas's mode of like, "All right, let's just go from top to bottom, left to right, and I'm just going to cover everything." And he was just like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, I do this literally all day, every day. This is not what I consider fun. Like, I enjoy doing it, but it's definitely not the exciting part of the business, right? And I could totally see, like, when he was like, "Oh my God, somebody that, like, cares about how we can make them make money," and, like, like the non specificity of the software, or hey, you got to remember every little aspect of every little feature. I'm like, no, I just want to know how MSPs, and this wouldn't have, none of this would have happened if I didn't believe in the program. Truthfully, I refuse to take money from any company that I don't believe in. But he was so happy with it now, and it was just a truly great experience. And then we even met way before all this, and I guess we'll round out the last couple of minutes of the YouTube video. We met at James Kernan's event.
Dear friend of mine, good guy.
Yeah, good guy, very good guy. Absolutely shredded back in the day. Got to hang out with him. He does a mastermind. He does an in-person peer group, and maybe a little potential spoiler, him and I might be doing something in the future. But we met at his at his mastermind. It's two days.
Yep, typically 2 days. He does 4 years, so one a quarter.
Yep.
And these are for the folks that he helps coach and scale and grow their business. And I've been lucky enough to know James for, oh man, close to 10 years now, probably.
Oh wow.
And I've been a part of his mastermind group in various companies, various roles, and he does incredible things just growing those MSPs.
Yeah, no, it seems like it. It was cool. Like when they're like, "What do you want to grow? What do you want to grow up and become?" I would definitely aspire, and I mean, he's far better looking than me. He's got way better hair than me. But it was cool. He runs a great thing, and that's originally how we met, and then we ended up hanging out at the after party that they had. But it was cool. It was, and you explained it to me then, and I was like, wow, that's something I haven't heard of yet. I haven't heard of something that can do the discovery, show you the device on the network, even a little bit, to a large degree, network mapping. I was like, this is pretty unique. And then I even passed the sniff test when I went to my members, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And I will say, glowing reviews. There was not a single person who said a negative thing. I asked a bunch of them. I said, hey, this is potentially what's going to be happening. And they're like, no, that's a great company and great system to use. So kudos to you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah. In the MSP space, we haven't had the MSP platform out long, so it has received very good reviews.
Cool.
Like you mentioned.
Yeah, he said it. He said
Pretty
it was.
excited.
He even said it was before his MSP. He was like, "Yeah, I've just used it in the past. It's a great. It's
I
just
hear
a
that
great system."
all the time. Oh man, I used this in the past. It's great.
Yeah.
What do you do for MSPs?
Now we're making the push into MSPs. And my job is to help you guys get better educated in what's out there, what's available. And truthfully, I won't take any money from a company that I don't believe in. And this was a great fit. It was something I did a bunch of research on. I thought it was pretty cool off the bat. I could see immediately. I mean, just even when I have friends in business, I pop into their offices or whatever it is, and you could just see the amount of devices that are connected to the internet. And then sometimes they don't even realize what's connected to the internet. And that's more of the scary side of it, especially when you're dealing with HIPAA, FINRA, FDIC, the alphabet agencies, and the long list of it. So, but Steven, thanks so much for coming, man. I appreciate you making the drive.
Thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.
Now I get to record a podcast.
Let's do it.